Hello, everybody. I'm Stewart Seiden, Executive Director of International Partnering Institute, and today is October 17th, and it's time for Lunch and Learn. And we have two people who are going to be presenting today, and Katie Stewart. I'm going to introduce Katie and let her talk about. We're actually going to be talking about the 2023 IPI Partnered Project of the Year award applications. And so I'll let Katie get started, and she'll be assisted by Mary Alice Avila. So go ahead, Katie.
Hello, guys. Sorry about that. My mute wouldn't unmute. Virtual everything. My name's Kaitlyn Stewart. I am on the awards committee here at IPI. I'm joined with Larry Eisenberg, who is my direct co-worker on this. So like Stewart said, we're going to be presenting the new guidelines and the new application and the new judges criteria for the awards applications. We felt like this was really important to do because it kind of shows continuity through all three of these documents. We've changed things to make it more user-friendly and to really kind of help cultivate the best applications for the awards. Like one of the pillars for IPI, we do strive to recognize teams who achieve exceptional outcomes through the construction partnering by highlighting their success stories. And we just really wanted to create an application that also presents and kind of highlights the best of all the projects that apply for awards. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mary Alice. She is the mastermind behind all these updates and these changes, and we just really thank her. We think that by doing all this hard work that she's put in, it's really kind of paving the way for the future to make, applications even easier going forward. So thank you so much. And Mary Alice, all for you.
Thank you. I'm turning off my my video. So Stewart, do you have the first page up, please? Can you share your screen? I don't see it. So Stewart is helping me by switching the slides, and he needs to share his screen with us.
While we're waiting for the slides to come up, I just also want to say real quick, if you have any questions as we go through this presentation, please throw them into the chat or hang on to them. Towards the end of the presentation, we'll have a slide where we can open it up for any questions that you may have. But we just, throw them into the chat box or write them down and then save them for the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, let me get started. IPI's Project of the Year awards application process has undergone changes over the years. The award guidelines and application information and the judging score sheets were revised based on previous year's experience and suggestions from IPI members and the judges. Just as in previous years, there are two separate awards, the John L. Martin Partnered Project of the Year and the Collaborative Project of the Year. You're not advancing. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce IPI members to the latest changes made for the upcoming 2023 application process with the intent of aiding those preparing future project applications and those judging the submissions. I actually found two more, so that we have several significant changes that have been made in the award application process. So in 2022 and in previous years, the application contained all information about the process, the application package to be submitted, and the scoring criteria. So the first significant change is that the application is now two separate documents, the application process and guidelines and the application form. The second significant change is the synchronization and correlation of information across the document. So the application process and guidelines, the project submission form or the application, and the judging score sheet. These changes are intended to provide clear, complete, concise information for those filling out the application and judging the submissions. The questions remain the same with some minor changes, and they're intended to clearly define information applicants are requested to provide. The guidelines expand on questions to be answered and information to be provided under the primary and secondary headings on the application form. As such, the guidelines are intended to be used in filling in the application form. So carefully reading the guidelines and providing the specific information that's requested will increase the likelihood of receiving a higher rating from the judges. Next. The changes are intended. Okay, Stewart, were you able to advance? Okay, are you on slide 7? Information provided on the application under each primary and secondary heading directly relates to the judge's score sheets and establish a consistent format and location of information across all projects. And this will enable the judges to evaluate and score the projects more easily rather than spending their time hunting for information, which is proving sometimes to be challenging and very time consuming. Information on the application under each primary and secondary heading directly relates to the judge's score sheets. Okay, I've already said that, huh? Can you advance, please? The third significant change is that we have added electronic fill-in forms for both the project application and the judge's score sheet. This change has been added, establishing a consistent format and location of information across all projects. And this will again enable the judges to evaluate and score the projects more easily and not have to hunt for the information. The fourth significant change is the elimination of extra credit questions. These questions have been incorporated into other questions. So there is no change to additional points awarded up to 3 for IPI project team members when all the team members sign the application. So let's look at some of the specific changes. Applicants are encouraged to first read through the application process and guidelines before gathering information and filling out the application. The judges will also be encouraged to become familiar with the guidelines to understand more easily what is required on the submissions. Information about the award process and guidelines is organized similarly as before, with general information about IPI's Partnered Project of the Year Award, IPI Partnering and Benefits. The award categories, eligibility requirements, and award program guidelines remain the same. Next page. The next 2 pages contain information about submitting the application and fees, notification, additional awards, and application preparation guidelines. The application fee, which has been unchanged for the last 12 years, is now based on the category. Category 1 remains the same at $500. Category 2 is now $750, and category 3 is $1,000. Next slide. The partnering result questions and submittal format are next. As previously mentioned, the questions are basically the same with some editing to improve understanding. On the last page are application tips, which have been expanded from previous years to include hints for using the fill-in project application form. Filling in the application includes clicking on boxes to select one from a group, drop-down windows, and fill-in boxes. The award committee wanted the teams to be able to tell their story, tell their project story while introducing the judges to their project and setting the stage for responses to questions in the application form. For this reason, the project summary is now 2 pages instead of 1. Each response to the questions further down in the application form will afford the team the opportunity to expand on the information in the project summary and further highlight the specifics and the unique aspects of their project, filling in the details and providing a deeper understanding of the project and why it deserves an award. Fill-in boxes or fields outlined in red are required fields and need to be filled out. Fields without the red outline are optional, and in some cases they only need to be filled out if the option directly above it is other, or in some cases where we have construction manager, only if there's a construction manager on the team. If a fill-in box is a required field and it doesn't apply to the project, then we're asking that you put in NA or not applicable in the response. Without filling in all these required fields, you won't be able to submit the application. So we need all of them filled in or checked. The resolution ladder contains required fields and will need to be filled out. And toward the end of the application form, we've provided a fill-in project stakeholders table. And we are saying that you can use it if you'd like, but if you have one that has been prepared for your project, then you're encouraged to go ahead and use that without having to re-enter information into this table. Project outcomes are used to provide data for research. In addition, the information is reviewed by the judges to better understand the success of the partnering process, and if results were commensurate to the amount of partnering sessions. So project outcomes are also used to determine the level of partnering to recommend as best practice based on several factors, including the project size and the type. The judges' scorecard is very much the same as last year, except that it is now an electronic fill-in format. And judges will be happy to know that I will be able to add formulas in the bottom so they will not have to add up the scores. So I want to just review what we've gone over. The first change has been the application is now 2 documents. You have the application process and guidelines and a separate application form, which is now electronic. The second change is the application process and guidelines and the project submission form, or the application and the score sheets, are organized so they follow the same sequence. The third is the project application and judging score sheets are electronic fill-in forms. And the fourth is the extra credit questions have been eliminated or incorporated into other questions. So you will not see those on the form. And that concludes what I had to present. If there are any questions, we are ready for them.
Thank you so much, Mary Alice. I think you've done a wonderful job updating all these aspects of the application and now the guidelines and the judge's scorecard. So I think it's going to be wonderful. I don't believe there were any questions put into the chat. Oh, hang on. Yes, we do. What electronic format is being used? PDF. So the fill-in application is a PDF. And it will all be done there. The application will be available on the IPI website. And we're looking at releasing the applications around mid-November. So please be sure to keep an eye out for that, either in the newsletter or just visit the website. Does that answer your question, Julia?
For the most part, since I'm doing the Arizona Partnering Excellence stuff, that's why I'm actually very curious about the formats being used and how, if something isn't filled out, how that would work. But I'm familiar with Adobe enough to say that with the required stuff, things that are not filled out, will it not allow you to print the application then, or how does that work?
That I'm not positive about. You will not be able to submit it unless all the required fields are filled out. I'm actually very new to using Adobe to create a form. This is my first experience with it, so I can't quite answer that question yet.
No worries, just curious when you get there. I'll stay in touch on that one and see how that works out.
Yeah, I also failed to mention the collaborative project application and guidelines are separate. They're a separate form, and the judge's score sheet is separate because there's some items that you'll see in the Partnered Project of the Year that you do not see in collaboration in the collaborative award. So we just eliminated some of the questions, and the judges' scorecards do not have those questions in them.
Yeah, I think also, like, if we're not able to figure out, we can always put NA for the things that are designated as required but may not apply. So that, well, it's always an option. Judy says, as a past judge, the new form seems like the new design and readily able to find the information in the application. Yeah, I think that was one thing that we really took from speaking with judges last year and in previous years, is we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So the information that's presented in the application by the teams directly correlate to what we're looking for in the judge's scorecard. So it should be across the board, very easy for the teams and then also for the judges. We're just really looking to even the playing field, because some what we've seen in the past are some applications, they may be an incredible project, but they're not hitting the mark when it comes to the application. So we're just trying to make it easier for everybody to highlight the best parts of their projects.
The other thing we've done is you'll see that a lot of the fields for answering the questions are a full page. We don't really want you to put a full page in there unless you need to. The reason is that each project is unique and there are different aspects that may be highlighted on one project and not on another. So we wanted to give the benefit to someone who wanted to highlight in one area, in other words, provide more information in their response. So in the guidelines, I do suggest that just provide as much information as needed, and you weren't expected to fill that whole page.
Yeah, exactly, Mary Alice. One thing that we've heard time and time again from the judges is we really are looking for teams to answer the questions clearly and concisely, while also telling a story with their answers. So answering the question, telling a story, there is definitely a fine line between those two. But we're really hoping that the updates that we've made to the application help with that fine line. And yes, I do believe a copy of the PowerPoint may be sent out. Mary Alice, do you have more information on that?
Actually, I'll answer that. We're going to post this video on the awards page where the applications will be, so it'll be available to everyone. And we can certainly provide the PowerPoint, although the PowerPoint would be part of the video that we have here. Another thing I'd like to respond to, or at least let people know, is that the judge's score sheet will also be available. So as people are filling out the application, they can look and see the detail and where points are awarded and the things that the judges are going to be looking for, so they can focus on those items.
Yeah, thank you, Stewart. Are there any other questions for Larry, or anything that I missed or that you would like to highlight or talk about?
As Katie said, one of the key issues that drove us in this direction is that, in the past, we've seen many excellent projects come in, and the differentiation on some is the quality of the application itself, in terms of the level of detail, the telling of the story to do that, and sometimes the applications have been a little bit jumbled, and so the idea of creating a direct crossover from application to score sheet should make it better for the applicant and the project and the judging process, so the judges don't have to search if something is there or not to do that. One specific example is the simple idea of, are the participants in the project IPI members or not? And in an application now, we have a little checkbox set that says yes or no. And that will make it simple to figure out if we have IPI members on the project, and in turn, be able to award the bonus points for their participation in the project. So
Slide 32.
this should be, I think, a really helpful improvement in the nature of the process that we've used for applications and judging, and should result in a really positive outcome. The other factor to note is that the application is structured in a way where we can pull data from it in a generic kind of way and use it for our research efforts. So we've had a pretty long-standing relationship with folks at Minnesota State University, and they have a construction management program there and have helped with some of our research issues. And that the idea of being able to see the outcomes help us advise from a policy standpoint in how we can improve collaborative partnering, generally identify innovative ideas that folks have come up with in running their project. And a lot of them are just really interesting, and really helpful, that benefit everyone in the industry to understand what can really happen. The other issue from my perspective is that given what the federal government has done this year in terms of infrastructure projects and a huge amount of money being spent to support governments and their capital initiatives, that we're just going to see lots and lots of projects happen across the United States. And my hope, of course, is that most of them are done under a collaborative partnering model that will be helpful. And so to have this information readily available, to be able to instruct folks in how collaborative partnering can work, all should be helpful to be able to make partnering better and have better quality projects all around.
And that's Michigan State University that does our research for us.
Awesome, wonderful. Yeah, any other questions before we close this out? Well, we really appreciate everybody for jumping on and learning a little bit more about our new application process and all that stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to ED at Partnering Institute. That would go directly to Stewart. Or if there's any other questions, or if you've got one of our emails, feel free to reach out to us. We're always here to help. Is there a next slide that shows dates?
Oh, I failed to do
Evidently not.
Okay,
So,
no worries. So just as just real general, we are looking to start having these applications available to download mid-November. Applications will be due around the beginning of February. So just keep an eye out for those. Be sure to look at the newsletters as they come out periodically. Check the website. But yeah, if there's no other questions or comments, thank you so much for joining us as we go through this. It was wonderful for y'all to be here. So thank you.
And I do have some, our next Lunch and Learn will be Monday, November 14th. That is, that's going to be the second Monday of November. And it will be Caltrans broadband delivery managers presenting on the historic work underway as they begin to expand California's broadband infrastructure and increase internet connectivity for families and businesses along with other.
Stewart, you're muted.
Good day. Is this better?
Much better.
Okay, so our next Lunch and Learn will be on Monday, November 14th. That will be the second Monday of November. And it will be Caltrans, their broadband delivery managers will be presenting on the historic work underway as they begin to expand California's broadband infrastructure and increase internet connectivity for families and businesses, along with other upcoming procurement activities. So be sure to join us next November. So unless there's any additional questions or whatever, we will conclude.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next month.